think I'm gonna need backup. I think I'm gonna need backup. It ain't gonna be long. We're gonna have a quick conversation. Have a quick conversation, Tron. Nothing long. It's gonna be a quick conversation for some input.
Quick. Gonna get quickie.
I always ask my brothers and sisters questions. I'm not on nobody's religious side. I'm not here to promulgate no religious perspective. But we're gonna have a conversation with my brothers and sisters. Yep. It's gonna be very illuminating. Because I always ask my brothers and sisters a question. And I want some answers to the questions. Because we should be able to answer questions when we're talking to each other. Now, you may have heard a lot of religious people. Because like I said, I have questions for my so-called Christians, my so-called Hebrew Israelite brothers, my Islamic 5% brothers, based off the text and the literature that those promulgate and that those people promulgate. So, does some religion promulgate that the misnomer white man is the devil? Watch this. Do some religions promulgate that the white man is the devil? Yes or no? Because when they make these statements, a lot of religious people, they won't tell you that a lot of their doctrine come from certain white people, like Dianetics from Ron L. Hubbard. But I know you heard some people say that the white man is the devil. Y'all heard that, right? I'm sure. And if we believe that, you got to tell me why, no theory, why do you believe these statements? You know, that people say that the white man is the devil. And could that be explained in a way that it makes sense? Let me see something. I'm going to get this document real fast. Let me see. I know I got my notes. Here you go. Here go my notes. So, I know a lot of people heard that, right? And certain religions say that the so-called white man is the devil. We've heard that, right? And I just want to see if anybody heard that and tell me why we feel that. You know? And we can have a discussion on that topic. Remember that. Why do a people say that vernacular, religious people say that the white man is the devil? We've heard that statement, right? I just want to make sure we've heard that statement before. And why do certain people promulgate that? Remember, some religious people say that the white man is the devil, right? I know we've heard that before. We've heard it. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying it to disrespect no one. I'm saying it, let's have these questions. Because a lot of times religious figures act like you can't ask a question. right? What people bring to people, like the little red book, they say that was brought to the North American Negro from Farah Muhammad. If we're dealing with facts and things that we know that can be proven, a lot of this stuff is just tradition. A lot of this stuff is just tradition, y'all. And it ain't no disrespect to no one. We're going to have a basic conversations, and let's see if our brothers and sisters can use their hippocampus or their reason as philosophers. Because what is one of the things that an oppressed people would disagree with all day is religion. We would argue over that all day, but I bet you we will agree of the oppression and the subjugation of a misnomer black people. I bet you say, yes, we do need better schools, we need libraries. I bet you will agree that we need homes and better homes, and we need our own discipline, and we don't have to be under no faith-based initiative, under their government mandated programs. And in order not to be that, you have to understand what I'm saying and use your finances and deal with culture. We have been stripped of culture, and we go with a belief system because we're not dealing with language. We're not dealing with the proper linguistics. So once again, I know we all heard people in certain religions say the white man is the devil. And you heard religious people say this part is the white man's and it's not the other. I know we've heard that, haven't we? And when I say some stuff is flawed, this is what I tell people, some things is flawed. And why you can't ask these people these questions that they call themselves experts, right? Or scholars. And it's a thing called peer-reviewed scholarly research, meaning if you're a scholar, then you can't base things off how you feel or your religious perspective. You got to deal with the science. So I'm not here to deal with no make-believe or no folktale or what someone said or someone said this or this was, you know how they say, how a certain religious people say, this was told to them. But man only knows by what he can prove and what he studies for his own. Men lie, women lie. You know? It's a fact. We're going to dispel false doctrines. I know you heard that the white man is the devil. Right? Have we heard that before? I just asked that question. Then I'm going to ask you some simple questions. And then we're going to go on. Because people know this. They be talking about doctor being his day teacher and all this. When I say absolute power can corrupt the man, absolutely. But the wisdom, you can't deny the wisdom. Especially if the wisdom can be proven. I'm telling you, absolute power corrupts. That's why it takes certain power to do certain things. But I'm sure we've heard yes or no, from a yes or no. We've heard certain religious people say that the white man is the devil, yes or no. Yes or no. I just want to, and then we're going to have a conversation to see how, for you can use your mind and think about the stuff that we may think is valid or we may even not have thought about it. Because the things that we should agree in, no matter what religion we in, is the liberation for our people. So my noble mozo on my Facebook page, he said, indeed, she, okay, if that's the case, who was the only person pertaining to your Bible, we're not going to get with, well, I think, that was in the Garden of so-called Eden with Adam and Eve. Who was in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve? The only figure per se. Watch this. Watch this. You got to answer it the right way. Who was the only person in the garden with Adam and Eve? The whatever mystical garden that they may talk about. What other figure was in the garden with Adam and Eve? Then they'll start playing semantics. Well, you know, the image. Right, the serpent, a.k.a. the devil. The devil. Okay, but you say the devil is the white man. Oh, well, no, we're giving the symbolic. No. I don't rock with the white man is no devil. I don't rock like that. Let me tell you why. I don't rock like the white man per se is the devil. Let me tell you why I don't rock like that and use that. Because I'm not giving no person that don't have no power over me the power of a God per se. Because they reversed it. You know, God is dog. You know what Egyptian deity that is? I'm telling you. So if that's the case, I'm not giving no man made in the flesh no power as the devil, have no power over me, especially no disrespect, no white man, no disrespect. That's rhetoric. How can I have power over God? I'm made in the image of God. The devil don't have, how? So you telling me that if that's the case, why we messed up is the devil, the white man, but the Muslim will say, well, the white man, this, and that, and the other. Okay, that's fine. But how can you say that in the same breath? And I can show you Muslims that's under Dianetics. Don't be mad at me. You know who Dianetics is, Ron or L. Hubbard. But some say the white man is the devil. How can it be? Some white man, poor white man, the rich white man, the educated white man, the common white man. If you make that general statement, the white man is the devil, well, how can it be proven that some Muslims under the Nation of Islam, I'm not saying all, but I bet you I can find a whole bunch. And I can find you the documents to prove it that went to conferences, and I can show you some Muslims that spread it under Dianetics, Ron L. Hubbard. But the white man is the devil. How can that be? How can that be? To me, that's a contradiction. I'm just asking the question. So why would I give someone power, that much power, a human that you say a big head scientist made, Yakub, have power of the devil? How? Because the devil had power, right? In the Garden of Eden, didn't the devil make so-called Eve bite the fake apple that everybody talk about? So if that's the case, that's some form of power. So we saying the devil have power over us when we kill our own brother? Because the Negro killed my baby brother, Akil Jelani Goodman Bay. A Negro killed my cousin, Miguel Swain. My boy Marlon Ville was killed by the black police in our community. His brother Mike Ville was killed by his brother. I can go on and on and on and on. We gonna blame that on the white man? Come on, man. So when we say the white man is the devil, that's hard for me to say. I'm not giving no entity or no man or no human, whatever you want to call it, no power like that. No supremacy. No one's supreme over us when we know who we are. That's fake. Ain't no somebody supreme over me, over you. The only people that have supremacy over them are slaves. So now are you saying you a slave? Now are you saying are you a slave? Because if you're saying you a slave, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you identifying as a slave. That's your choice. That's why you're an American. In America, you have the freedom of choice. I keep telling everybody, I'm proud to be an American. What type of more American I am? A Moorish American. The land of the free, the home of the brave. I stand up proudly and tell you, I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to be a citizen in my community. I'm proud because I understand it. I can explain it. I'm not going to let nobody tell me no different. If your level of understanding is where it's at, that's fine. But you damn sure ain't going to use your lower misunderstanding to try to promulgate that crap to me when I know better. You know? And I know Asia and Laurasia and Eurasia and all that stuff. We get that. But we're not going to play semantics or Pangea and all that. You know, Gata, Gwanda, all that stuff. We know that. Africa, because Africa was never named after no European. I broke that down too. I lecture that already. Moso said devil is a low vibrational energy. That's right. But when we put that in the form of a man and things, then are we saying the devil is a man? Because when you say the white man is the devil, then what? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So are we talking about when I talk to my brothers Asians or are we talking about Orientals? Because a lot of the pale Arabs, they did consider themselves or try to call themselves Asians. A lot of them was classified as that. If I'm not mistaken, Chancellor Williams' book in Destruction of Black Civilization, right? You can research the subject of the so-called Muslim Arabs. Their aspiration or reputation of African culture. You don't have to listen to me. Just read Chancellor Wilson in those particular topics and tell me what you get. And I ain't even gonna show maps and things of the pictures of how Earth looked when it was one landmass, and when you see how this geographic people area came to this area, and they had this form of drug or plant that's only native to a certain area, or certain animals is only native to certain areas. Like when I talk about the king of the jungle and the damn lion that's in the circus. That lion in the circus is a damn Persian goddamn lion. That ain't the king of the damn jungle. Look at the size. I mean, it's no, I'm just coming from love because I love the study and I love the research. And I have the pleasure to deal with all different type of religious backgrounds, but study from no bias perspective. And then be able to not only research the languages and have the lexicons for the language that we say we think is ancient, but then when you see that language, you say it's derived or the origin may come from Syriac or Aramaic, but ancient Syriac or the Syriac language, or even deeper when we start dealing with different manuscripts or different tablets. These is just facts. When we start dealing with Egyptian tablets and manuscripts that's older than all this, that you can start cross-referencing. Like in history, is 16 crucified saviors before Jesus Christ. We know this, but that's not the topic at hand. We just setting the precedent, you know? But when I talk to my Muslim brothers, I love everyone. But when I say when we dealing with manuscripts and we dealing with things, why we always got to deal with certain individuals or things that don't look like us? Like a prophet and an angel come from amongst his or her own people. Why when we're dealing with all these things, it has to be some mystery and nobody knows where this individual come from? Or he came from here, or this picture is not him. This picture is him. No, this picture is not him. Well, this picture is not the same picture as you say it's not him, but it ain't him. Oh man, stop the count. And then when history proved where people was part of before they even came of the concept of what they was talking about, they were dealing with certain individuals. And I say we hate our history and Moors so bad. We're not saying a group of people don't do things to people, because I just told you, a Negro killed my own brother. But the science didn't do it. Just like when people be talking about Moors kill Africans. No, they didn't. Certain people, if you want to identify them as Moors, what? But what? People being overruled by who? Oppressors in the name of the religion. Who? Leopold. Leopold went to the Congo and he put the fez on those African or Moorish people as part of their what? Uniform. The same way Hitler knew. They study Islam. Did you say Islam did all that? Or did you say Hitler did it? And some of those people that were part of the Hitler regimen studied Islam. You see? But when I deal with things, I'm not going to deal with something that when you can read and say, if a person don't believe what you believe in, they should be killed or in all those crazy things. I'm not rocking with nothing like that. And then when people try to say in certain religion, they married this young person, I can show that in both sciences. You know? You know? So when people talk about historicalness, like Indians, and I say, well, what kind of Indians? And what we have to start explaining things. That's scholarship. You just can't make a general statement without explaining. you should want to explain things if you know what you're saying. Like if somebody say, well, what you got that fez on and what that fez represent, you start talking some rhetoric. Why we can't explain what's going on? Just like in the biblical scriptures, Thomas wasn't doubting. Everybody say this can happen, so shit, let me see too. Just like on one of my favorite movies, Wolf of Wall Street, when he was asking my man, if you make 70,000 a week or whatever, show me that check, man. I'm working with you. I'll call my employer right now. I'm rocking with you. He wasn't doubting him. He said, if that's what's happening, man, and I can be an asset and I'm willing to work. Wasn't doubting. Show if that's what it is. Not saying you have to show, but I mean, in this context, that's what we're talking about. You see? So when we say an Indian as an original people per se, what makes this individual original per se? Because when we talk about Appalachian, I'm just giving history. We're talking about an especial. So if we're talking about American, we're talking about the copper color races that was so-called found here by the Europeans. If we're talking about Bible, what we're talking about what? The misnomer black man that can be proved that he or she is the father of civilization, proved by the Bible alone. No disrespect. I did this in academia. Wasn't a disrespectful bone in body, in no one's body. Based off the research and the science and what we're talking about, I can show this in different scholarship works. That's all. That's all. You know, in a lot of that red book, you know, I'll pull a red book out. I got it over there. Like I said, I ain't here to disrespect my brothers and sisters, but like I said, I'm not on nobody's side. I'm not Orthodox. I'm not this. I say, I studied Tasawwuf. I studied it all. I studied the triple roads. I have a clear understanding. I'm going to deal with logic and reason. I understand, though. But for the liberation of my people, all this stuff going to make us argue. The thing that separates the misnomer black man, that keep us separated, is what? Man-made religion. Because if I talk about the real common denominator of who we are, brothers, well, I don't know, they think we Negro, black, and colored, but lawfully, I can prove that's wrong. But we need good schools. We need good education. You know what I'm saying? We need to create our own. We need to know about the taxism status like the other communities that do that I speak on, especially if brothers say they Jews or Jewish or more-ish. You know? But anything grafted from the original, that's what they say is weak and wicked. That's what they say, thus devils. That's what in the teaching say. No disrespect. And I hear that. I've read that. But in their lesson, they say anything grafted from the original is weak and wicked, thus the devils. That's what it says. And so, like I tell brothers, like, why we can't have this conversation if brothers and sisters gonna say this better than that or that, and then brothers say, well, this originated from the Bible, and this comes from this, and this comes from the Pentateuch and the Septuagint, and all this stuff, and really Islamic stuff is Christian, is catechism, and this, not another. If that's the case, you say Abraham and all this stuff, but we're still talking about the same, you know, and I know. So if that's the case, do they recognize the same as how you say you are? When certain things is bad, when it comes from a religious perspective. And I'm not here to disrespect one. What I'm saying as a misnomer Negro, black, or color, or African American, why do we always have to belittle ourselves and always subjugate ourselves or lower ourselves to some mystery God or some mystery thing? Anybody that came to liberate us in the flesh don't look like you. And if it was 16 crucified, saved before Jesus Christ, and you go in all other cultures and they prophet of Messiah is the same color, then what did I just say? My Mufti, Gregory Mosso L, he's on my Facebook page. When he was out here in Arizona, I go to this little herbal store, Indian herbal store, and their Messiah is in the flesh. They understand, but they prophet and angel come from their same community. I mean, we're the only group of people that have a problem with that. We're the only group of people that don't have a culture. These individuals have culture. How? When you see them wearing your Moorish garments and stuff, you be like, oh, that's nice. When you see the Jew wearing his yarmulke and his fringes, oh, that's nice. When you see the Indian wearing his turban, on the Islam Muslim wearing his kufi. It's nice. But what the misnumbered black man wear? In Black History Month, he wears stupid ass dashiki. No disrespect to no one. And don't even know the dashiki is biblical. But that's a whole nother teaching. I do this because I love it. And I love you. Remember that. Remember that. We talk about a Nubian race, all this, of course, it's all type of, when people say, well, is this that, is that this? Yes, it's all of that. You can't let nobody put you in a so-called box. When in history, when I go to the Ancient and Modern Britons, by who? David McRitchie, right? When I go to all these other different writers in history and show you in history in Germany, when I show you what's in Corsica, when I show you the Corsica flag, when you hear Sorti Pyatt, aka Black Pete, you start hearing these things identified to a certain color. We're not, and it's no disrespect. We're not talking about something that was put in your face as Indian features and a certain, no disrespect again, different feature, or a Caucasian figure, or Albion figure, or a Tralodike figure. No disrespect in feature. You know, than the so-called Hindus. But when you look at them, they'll look Nubian. Because remember, in history, there was black. Black is what? The gypsies of what? Europe. Not Africa. So when you start hearing these things, and when you start seeing history, you'll be like, yeah. And then I can start showing you other things was in the Americas. It's just history. So if color didn't matter, well, why it wasn't told freely? And why it wasn't shared? And why everything I'm talking about, I can pull out peer-reviewed scholarly research books from not only our scholars, but from other scholars. And then when our own people be quoting Dr. Ben and John Henry Clark and trying to discredit something, and I said, well, is Dr. Ben your elder? Yep. Okay, well, I say, well, Dr. Ben got a whole lecture of the African Christianity. And all you got to do is watch it, and then come back to me and see what you say about things. I can show you Tony Brown's journals. Our scholars was showing down and going over wisdom together as we should. Not disrespecting each other, especially if these are people specific crafts. If people say they're scholars, not emotional. Because if we're going to do peer-reviewed scholarly research, we should be able to have this conversation. But if we got a religious motive, then I understand that. You know, like a lot of my religious Hebrew Israelites, they're going to bang so much and maybe only come from a old Greek perspective. And thee and thou. Well, that's old English. Excuse me. That's old English. I get it. But it ain't Hebrew. If you understand Hebrew, I'll write some Hebrew, you won't even understand it. It might even have the lexicon to understand the words that I'm saying. So how do we know what's being right if you don't even understand the ancient language? And then if you say Hebrew, Arabic is the ancient language of the Quran, that'll be off as well. But I'm still coming with love. You know? We know this. We know this. You know? And these are just questions that we can have in love. If melanin is supposed to be the color causing pigment in all living creatures, watch this. Well, before I even say that, have you ever heard of a person saying that only black people can create an albino? Somebody tell me yes or no. Have you ever heard somebody say that? Yes or no? If you ever heard of it. Emperor, what you saying? No. But a lot of religious people will use that for rhetoric. So I'm asking the people, have you ever heard of somebody saying, well, and yeah, black people are the only one that can create an albino. You ever heard that? Yes or no? Anybody on here? I want to see if anybody say yes or no. See if anybody rocking. See if anybody will be honest. I'll wait for a second. Have anybody ever heard that? Say, people said that the misnomer black man is the only one that can create an albino and sound heavy. Sound good though. But scientifically, is that a valid statement? Because of course it'll sound good in a group of people that may not be on the level of researching. But in school you research. It's not church. I'm not asking for an amen. I don't need it. I don't need an amen. That's not what I need. What I want people is to remove emotion. You know? What Moso, you said, yep, I know. And I'll tell you that, and I'll tell a person, well, okay, we'll prove it scientifically. Not something what somebody told you. Because if you can't do that, then it's not scholarship. It's a belief system. And I'm not going to sit and have a how can I say it, intellectual dissertation or conversation or education with someone that's coming off something that's been told. And when we're dealing with the science of the matter, we still roll with something else. That's not what I'm here to do. So I'm saying, yes, that can happen. You probably seen one in your life. If you haven't, then maybe you will see one in your lifetime. Research it. You know? But this is what I'm asking my brothers and sisters. From love and respect. From love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I heard a Islam Muslim say one day to a brother, well, you can't be asking that, you gotta ask, you gotta be a Muslim and all, you know how the rhetoric. And then he said, well, can one of my homeboys that's a teacher that study this have a conversation with us? And he was like, yeah. And then, you know, he said, well, he's Muslim. And then he said, he's not gonna tell you he's Muslim. And then I'm not gonna play the Muslim rhetoric neither. Or the Muslim, I get that when we can play that semantics, I get that too. I get all of that. You know what I'm saying? I get that. I get when people say, well, Jesus was a Muslim. I said, hey, not going to argue with no one. What I am going to say is those things were promulgated to us. You know, they say that all living creatures, well, I say, if melanin is supposed to be the color-causing pigment in all living creatures, and the pale man or the so-called white man has no melanin, in those lessons, because I got the red book over yonder, I should go grab it. In those lessons, why is he called the colored man in the lesson? I'm just asking. And then a person will come with the, well, you have the right to ask. Yes, I do. I got the right to ask any damn thing I want. If you say something is this, when a person say the black man religion is Islam, and I say based on what? When I start breaking down language and hadith, when it talk about prejudice of the misnomer black man, when it names all so-called Muhammad slaves, I can go deeper and deeper with it. When they call you a razorhead, oh, that's a word of endearment. How is it calling your black bleep bleep? If I call you a black bleep bleep bleep, a nappy head, razorhead, you like that? You know, just like the white, when we talk about Bloomback, when we talk about the Caucasus Mountain and all, only white would be some void of color. Per se. And in this context, the word color simply means that which has color or been colored, varnished or dyed. So why it ain't called the no color man or the discolored man? Just like if you say something is disfigured, don't they call something that all messed up? Oh, he was disfigured. Why they ain't call it the discolored man? Why? Why would you say that? She, Rabbi, Rabboni. Why? Because don't he lacks the color-causing pigment called melanin, right? But I say all living entities have melanin. Might not have as much as you and I. Might not be sun kiss per se, but I guarantee they all have a form of melanin to be on this earth plane, baby, baby. In my Biggie voice. With all due respect. With all due respect. And I just be, when a person be saying things is matter factual or is it tradition? Because if you say something is matter factual, you cannot get mad at a person saying what? 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things and hold fast to what? What is good. So why you can't prove it? I ain't doubting nothing. I'm not doubting nothing. Don't put that on Thomas in the Bible. Thomas was doubting. Thomas wasn't doubting. Thomas said, you Negroes said y'all can walk on water and y'all do this. And y'all tap down through heaven, went to hell, came back, and it wasn't touched with no spots or blemish. I said, if that's the case, show me. Because when you show me, I'm rocking with you. And I'm bringing all my peeps with me. You heard me? You heard me. That's all I'm saying. Out of love. Truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Why no one can be asked these questions? Why? Out of all these times, we can't ask no questions. So that's what it is. That's what we are. We are ignorant people. We slaves. Man, go on with that rhetoric. But we got an answer for everything else. But we can't clean our own house up. Just like a lot of them use the vernacular of black. How? How black gonna get us anywhere? How? And according to science and law, black means death. Civiltum mortis, because a lot of stuff in law is Latin. I call it pig Latin per se. And every truth seeker and teller know I'm telling the 100% truth. In some of those teachings, it say you may have heard that the devil owned what 6 million square miles of useful land on the planet Earth at the date of the writing of the lessons. I mean, you may have heard that. Because if you have the red book, it's in there. It's in there. And with all love, truth, peace, freedom, and respect, I'm just asking a question. I can be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I can be checked sincerely. But if I'm not wrong, and if you sincere, would you admit that you sincerely wrong? That's the question, because I have enough pride as a master student to do that. Like I said, I'm not going to let religion overpower real results, because I know religion separate all of us. Why? Because you got the Hebrew Israelite, you got the Moor, you got the Christian, you got the black Mason, you got the black this, you got the black that, you got the pro-black, you got the black Egyptian, you got the black atheist, you got the blackity black. You got the black, you just the black, what? I'm just the black. But in those teachings, it says that the devil only used it says that the devil only owned 6 million square miles of useful land on the planet Earth at the time of the lessons. I'm just asking anybody, are we familiar with that? Because if I'm wrong, please correct me. But from what I saw in the manual, it states that the student enrollment that the devil only used 6 million square miles of useful land. I mean, but when you look at, if we're saying from the time or whatever, right? Well, based off the square miles, it can't be right. What do America alone consist of? I think it's a little bit less. I think it's in the 3,500,000 some square miles. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Europe being 3,930,000 some per se. Canada being 3,854,000 per se, which is a total of around 11,320 some thousand, like 379, something like that. Then you got to mention all the islands. You know, England, the British states, because I just told you about the connectivity, you know. All the British states owned in the Caribbean. That's how a lot of brothers and sisters in Africa areas, where you say they may be speaking Latin or French. Of course, we know Swahili, but I'm just saying. So that cannot be the correct. I asked how these things are calculated, because I use my compass and my square. It's just like I heard a more, no disrespect, say, "Oh, well, that's stupid, like putting a circle in a square." And then I'm saying, then this person said he is a sheik, and one of his students said, "I want to forgive my sheik." I said, "You don't have to forgive your sheik, because I don't take nothing personal with what people know. Everybody at the level that they are. But when you can be corrected, especially if you say you are a Moor, and then you dissing Kemetic science, which some people may call Masonry, which some people may call Freemasonry, which you have no idea what Masonry and theology is, the two thought process of man, but that's a whole nother conversation, because we think it's somebody else's. But when a person make the statement of, "That's stupid, like putting a circle in a square," I say, "Sir, if you know how to use your compass, you can put the circle in a square, sir, especially if you got a Fez on." But then I forget, most Moors never ever had the pleasure to wear the Hex Alpha after they got out of middle school, some high school. The Hex Alpha is the graduation cap per se. And the circle and the square, which is the Fez and the Hex Alpha, both have 360 degrees of wisdom, just different parameters. And when you use your compass and your square, you can come up with a mathematical equation. I'm telling you, everybody know what I'm saying is truthful if you know how to use these tools. You know? But then a lot of them would say how they calculated it. Then I say, well, then if you're not basing it off mathematics and wisdom, then it's tradition. Then some might say it's the symbolic number, meaning 6 is the devil, and the lessons were taken on face value. And I would say, well, how? I would say, well, symbolic number meaning 6. Okay. Right? Even the Arab states are, no disrespect, Caucasian. For they are, no disrespect, pale Arabs. The teachings tell us this. I'm telling you, all history, ARAP, not ARAB. Vladimir Dale's dictionary tell you what the ancient Arab is. Bertram Thomas has a book called the Arab. It tells you who the ancient Arab is, ARAP, no matter how no one feel about what I'm saying. And those individuals do not consider themselves original, or as you would say, misnomer black people. They do have a racist caste system, because look at what's so-called in the Middle East. What is that? And how do these group of people all of a sudden have all these riches? Isn't that ironic? Now, I'm not going to be too long. Question 5. I'm just asking some questions, and I hope we see these things and check it out for yourself. How can Islam be older than the sun and the moon and the stars if Islam was not invented until the 7th century AD? In this context, I don't know. I could be wrong again. That's all I'm saying. I'm just having a conversation. And when I had a conversation with a couple of my Islamic brothers that I love, he was like, yeah, some of the stuff is tradition. He was like, Sheikh, that's why, like, I'll just use an analogy. I hate to say it, like in prison. You may have Nation of Islam Muslims and you may have Sunni Muslims. Like the Nation of Islam Muslims don't believe in a certain fictitious thing. They believe in Elijah Muhammad per se. The Sunni Muslims may wear the garments. You know, you may see cotton or silk. Nation of Islam, they don't. So that's what I'm saying. So according to this, let's just stay in context, not Islam per se. I'm talking about a specific group of people. Because I don't want to get out of context of things. I'm just saying a group of people. You know what I mean? A certain group. You know? Because if that's not the case, then if it's other forms and facets of Islam, then okay. And if this Muslim can say something and the other Muslims don't agree with that, then who's right or wrong? That's why I said I deal with the higher part of Islam that I can show you in the Hadith, which is the Tasawwuf. Babe, can you turn that down a little bit? Which is the Tasawwuf, that which Allah loves. It's the peace, it's the unity. Nothing outside of ourselves. And anything outside of yourself is true shirk. I'm just having conversation with my people to show you is what we getting fed, law or tradition. And we should be able to have these conversations, especially my brothers and sisters that's under this craft. But according to the 10th degree of the student enrollment, 1 to 10, it says that Islam has no said birth record and is older than the sun and the moon and stars. But if people say, I've heard say that it was invented in the 7th century, I've heard it, I can be wrong, originating with the teaching of Muhammad ibn Abdullah, along with the event of the Arabic language, which is a mixture of the Ashuric and Syriac dialects from the Semitic language family tree. Some would say that Islam means I, self, Lord, and Master, which is an acronym. And like when I speak to people like that, I get that. But then also I speak about the pentagram, and I speak in the 7 seals, and I speak Kabbalistically, and I speak in the Sephirats. So all of that, when we say I, self, Lord, and Master, can be explained in wisdom instead of just an acronym. But you have to know how to do that when you're defending a certain position, because a person going to come and say, well, I, self, Lord, Master, you know what I mean? But then if you know how to use craft and you coming from love, you can show that deity, the self, in everything of life. You can see it standing straight up with its full extremities, you know? But I get it. You'll get a misunderstanding. It's just like when I hear people say, well, Moors are Muslims. And I say, well, based on who? Are some Moors Muslim? Yes. But to be a Moor is not contingent on you following the religious aspect of Islam. Because if someone say that, then that's not valid. That ain't contingent on you being a Moor by birth, believing in some man-made religion. Because if you understand what's going on, then you will be removed from all that. But in this form of Islam, it don't mean peace. It means one who submits to God. And according to the one in etymology, Islam has a different meanings. Just like when I talk about in one of my books, the Al-Salat, when I say I don't have a problem with no religious person doing 5 prayers, but I talk about the Al-Salat, which is done standing. And in the ayats, I know that was a time when the slave you would be out for a long time, and I connect myself to God, and that was my resting time, based off your Quran. And if we don't understand that level of wisdom, that's okay. That's okay. But I've written it, I researched it, I gave it a plethora of times, I went over it, I showed it, and we have to start coming to a reality. If not, I still understand my brothers and sisters' degree, because you can have a misunderstanding and all that and still be a great individual and still be a great person to work with, and won't be like some of these people that be trying to push their understanding or maybe their truth because you may not be there yet. You should be able to use the same books, and then say if a person really understand or believe, then show the language of it. You should be able to do that. That's school. You know? In 1818, he said Islam religious system revealed by Muhammad. I don't know if that's a true number. From Arabic literature, when we talk about submission, it's to the will of God. From the root of Salama, he resigned, he surrendered, he submitted. Causative, conjunction of Salima, he was safe, and related to Salam, which is peace. Islamic is attested from 1791. But what I talk about is tasawwuf. I talk about that inner peace, connecting yourself to that inner science, connecting yourself to that mind. But I understand all the outward things, but all the outward things was to explain the inside. All those things are nothing but analogies, metaphors, and symbology to explain the stuff that inside that you can't see. You have to understand this. Even when I talk about the Panel, all the stuff that I've been leading, speaking on. And then Sunday, I teach. Names for faith include Muhammadism. Remember in 1614, and Ishmaelism, which is a part of which come from the Ishmaelite. That comes from like Jews to Arabs as descendant of Ishmael. No disrespect. So Islam is related to the root word for peace. However, it does not mean peace at all, according to that set of Islam or that set of definitions. That's why a lot of people won't take it. Or when you do, you can understand the truthful translations. And then we go through all the channels of the no disrespect European translations. Because that's all you're going to get that you can trust. And this type of thinking was implemented by, no disrespect, the pale Arabs, the one that a lot of your brothers say scholars. You see a lot of brothers paint their beard red. Why? Who are you trying to imitate? Who are you trying to imitate? Watch what they say. A lot of stuff was implemented, no disrespect, by different pigment Arabs. No disrespect, by pale Arabs. No disrespect. So that we would convert to their way of thinking. Just like when I talk about the Arabic slave trade. When they enslaved all those Africans. It's still going on now today. And worship them even on a near subconscious scale. But we revealing things that you can ask yourself. You don't have to be mad at no one else. You can look at these things for yourself. Even a lot of times, especially when people give dates, like in certain books and things that get people like, do you see this? You see this? I say, just because it's in a book, does that mean it's valid? No. I done gave you so much stuff in the book that I done showed you that's fake, that I had the pleasure to do in academia. I showed you that the Willie Lynch letter is fake. I showed you that Roots is fake. I showed you that came from a book, Harold Colander. I showed you they were all lower level Freemasons. I even showed you Behold the Pale Horse, where a lot of that stuff is fallacy. But we believe anything somebody come to us. We believe it. We believe it. Why? Because it's in the book. We believe it. And it sounds so heavy, you can put some good music behind it. You can make TikTok videos of some, no disrespect, some white people that's in prison telling you a whole bunch of stuff to get your goofy self killed. I'm telling you. Always giving credit to some alien. Zachariah Stinson and your boy that wrote Behold the Pale Horse, I'm telling you, they part of the Philosophical Research Society. How I know this? Because I'm a member there. I start pulling out stuff and pulling out stuff and pulling out stuff and show you like, man, I ain't got no reason to argue with one. I can show you everything what's in the Manly P. Hall Library. A lot of documents that a lot of people don't have. And I have documents that was given to me over my academia endeavors. And as I do part of my life as a collector of what? Books, wisdom, and then application. Then application. Then application. I broke it down earlier. Application. Application. The liberation for our people. It can't be no religion. Why? Because right now, everybody's religion is separating us. But for education, for freedoms, for all this stuff, just like me and my empress and my mother was talking about, are we all on that same level? Yep. Okay, well, why are we using none of our funds to do that? Because when you get any federal mandated, you're going to have to be teaching or preaching what? Federal mandated logic. Why? Because you're getting them funds. That's why I'm saying religion can't be the key for saving misnomer black people. It can't be. Nationality have to be one. Your religion can be whatever, but those two agree as one. But now, when we get to that level of a people understanding our tax dollars throwing away can be used to build our infrastructure that we can own, that nobody can take. Why? Because we're using our tax dollars that we, Uncle Sam, willingly, that the law said we can use to do what? Build. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's nothing else. I have nothing else for people. Because I can go over all the stuff that you can question in these different religions, and you'll be like, well, damn, that makes sense. That don't even make sense. You'll be like, well, that don't even make sense. Even though a person would be so passionate and be so, how can I say, matter-factual. But if you sincere, and I'm showing you sincereness, and I'm showing you in your sincerity, you can be proven wrong. What? I can show you so much stuff in that red book that's really not true. So if it's tradition, or if it's just rhetoric, or what is it? And why can't we do this? And every other time we do this with every religion. See, the Bible ain't this, but we can't do this with this piece of science that was given to us that we say is for the uplifting and for the liberation of the misnomer black man in North America. And I'm telling you, as a scientist, as a studier, as a philosopher, in the laboratory with my test tubes and my beakers, you telling me I can't go through this and dissect this? My noble, you sent something in the text stream earlier, that scientist, and he was talking about, you got to be lucky to be born, because it ain't that many people being born, and your birth and just being born is a blessing. Okay, so remember when I gave that analogy of that brother, how when Terrence Howard gave him some science, and Terrence Howard wanted him to really tell him what he feel about it? It's just like if somebody gave me something in my craft, and I say, you want me to really give it a real look, a real eye, and I say your spelling is all wrong. This. But I say that's nothing new to us in this field. I say it's a schoolmaster, and then you get upset. But then I say, but the pictures on the last page are very, very beautiful. But you get upset. What I'm trying to tell you, in our field, in this discipline, especially if you're a student or a member of the BBT and support us, these things you will know. Understand that. And it's no disrespect. Like when I talk about things, a lot of stuff in the Bible come from tablets, come from Egyptian tablets. If in the Bible you say Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he taught his Aaron, so what wisdom was being promulgated? What school were they going to? Because they sure weren't going to no church school. It was a man named Tutmos, and you see the name Mos, which is Tamarian, aka Egyptian, name meaning born of or a child. And also the story of Sargon, which bear the same similarities to Moses' story. Remember, I talked about 16 crucified saviors before Jesus Christ. You see how I can connect all this stuff? So if that's the case, how can anyone, no matter what religion it is, say this religion is the best religion for us when it's so much, when we got the same books and the Negroes can't even agree to something they got the same books? How? How can we come up with something else? So if that's the case, it's a belief system. And right under the word belief, you have a word called what? Belai. Believing in things that you cannot prove. So if that's the case, it has to be a common denominator for us. Because I say righteousness is for every man. Don't get me wrong. But I do have a mission. And if we are people that's liberated, that was subjugated and so-called segregated, and systematically destroyed mentally, displaced physically and mentally, and still today mentally in slavery, the common denominator has to be some different than religion. It has to be. Why? Because you can get a group of brothers like you and I in a room, and we can talk about religion, and Negroes would damn near get the fighting. Snot coming and start coming out Negroes' nose. The ears would be coming out. Negroes would down there have a heart attack. Negroes being there with diabetes down there to die. You gotta go get them a piece of candy. They be done passed the hell out, and they're arguing over some stupid religion. But then when it comes down to the liberation and do we need this and that about bringing our people up, and all them brothers will agree, and the whole energy would be different. Why is that? Why is that? Because that's the right energy. If the energy is any other way, that'll tell you that ain't the answer. That's how. I told y'all what? The ethers is going to agree with the wisdom. You got to understand what I'm saying. All you got to do is look at the energy. Something good for us will what? Bring us all together. Something that we say is good for us is only good for a group of people when it ain't universal. When it ain't universal for that group of people. But righteousness is for all man. And as humans, we just want what? Our fair shot. As Moorish Americans, which we choose to be, which we can have our own community, our nation in a nation, which I showed already, that's the answer. Religion is not. Because everybody come with this. This what no disrespect. I love my Hebrew Israelite brothers. Here they come. That ain't Jesus, that's Caesar Borgia. Okay, then here you come with a red-eye, nappy-head Negro, and then you say, this is the Messiah, this is what he look like. Well, I say both pictures is false. I say neither one of you Negroes got no picture or no Messiah. Neither one, not one. So how your picture is valid and he is not? Tell me how. Both are false images. Clear as day. Clear as day, they both false images. Look, this is what it knows. You don't know how his nose was. Oh, he had to be dark skinned. Well, we read it. We got to read it all. Just because your skin might be lighter than mine, or my skin might be darker than yours, that don't mean that I'm more black than you. That don't even make sense. My brothers and sisters, we must wake up. We must wake up. We must come to reality. We must come to things that's applicable. We must come to things that we can use. We must come to blueprints. And I'm telling you, I love spiritualness. I love the connectedness. I love understand that this is a creator because it's a creation. I love that. But I'm not dissing crafts. I'm not dissing mathematics because I know multiplication. I'm not dissing a bike because I got a car. They both are tools. This is what I'm telling people. It's tools. Are we going to use these tools? Did I say religion is bad? No. Religion ain't the key. Did religion help some brothers? Yes. Did Islam help some brothers? Yes. But when we talk about things, when we say matter-factual and this based off this because it's in a book, are you saying it's matter-factual or are you saying it's tradition? No matter what religion you under. Because if you're saying it's matter-factual, then we got to deal with the facts. And when I deal with the facts, you got to remove how your personal feelings and deal with the facts. And some of our people can't deal with the facts. They can't. So if religion is the key, if your God is the key, how can God, that concept of God be the key? And it was 16 crucified saviors before Jesus Christ. And I tell you, actually, are you a melanated man? So I say, well, what's going to be the common denominator for the freedom of misnomer black people? And I say your nationality and your spirituality. I understand that your tax dollars can be used to build your community, your religious community, your nation in a nation. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm saying. So if religion is the best and religion is going to get us to the next level and we all reading the book, how can this religious person, this Muslim person have the same books and get two different logics? How can this Muslim and this Muslim say, I'm a Sunni Muslim, I'm a Nation of Islam Muslim, I'm a this, and they all get two different perspectives? And then I ask them, do they understand analogy and parable and symbology? Some will say yes, some will say no. I ask them, do they understand linguistics and ancient language and origin? Some will say yes and some will say no. But the ones that say yes, then you got to agree with what I'm saying. If not, then you lying. And these just facts. Either you sincere and can be sincerely wrong, or you just flat out BSing the people. It ain't no room in between to say, oh, they knowing all this. No, it ain't. We don't have no room to be playing. This is the time of the essence right now. Right now. That's why I be telling people, oh, we got time. We don't have no freaking time. Then when the people some time, what time? We steady giving our resources and our funds away. We steady thinking we finna get something. And then religious people talk about the rapture. Then religious people, oh, the second coming of the Christ. Who? I don't know what the damn Christ look like. Why? All these damn pictures? The European picture look like Tom Cruise, look like Billy Idol. You know what I mean? And then the Negro picture look like J.J. Evans picture. Look like who the hell ever. So I don't know the second coming of who? The second coming of what? The second coming of what? Think about this fallacy. Just like when I asked you, can water wash away sin? Well, y'all get baptized. I ain't asked you that. If that's the case, it'd be contradiction of what? The so-called Jesus on the cross that you say you love. Why? Because didn't John the Baptist baptize in water? Didn't he say someone will come greater than I to baptize you in what? Fire and blood? Last time I checked. So what I'm saying, if religion, man-made religion, that everybody can have the same book and get a whole total different perspective, what can that tell you? That tell you somebody or a group of peoples got to be basing their understanding or their lack of understanding on a belief system. And right under the word belief, I'm telling you, it's a word called belied, believing in things that you can't prove. And I'm telling you all this stuff that you may think come from a whole other concept and come from Egyptian mystery systems and different tablets. I'm telling you, because the Moses that we may think is Moses, which is Tutmos, Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. That's what I'm telling you. And we can say however we want. You're going to see these religious brothers, these Israelite brothers referring back to it and everything. They're going to start saying they built these and this. But when I say you can't let nobody draw a line down your back and act like this Crips and Bloods. That's the thing. Because Egypt did have two pharaohs, Setmos and Sabatos. I broke that down in other wisdom. I showed you in the hieroglyphics, you do have YHWH. I showed this. If brothers say they read the Met to Nether, then you have to see this. I show you in the biblical scripture, it talk about gods with the S, Elohim, that's plural. We break these things down. So when we coming from understanding, when we coming from wisdom, we can agree. But when we coming from religion, which is man-made, which separate us, that can't be the solution. That can't be the common denominator. That's what I'm telling my brothers and sisters. Because if that's the case, hell, they got the religious scriptures for the blacks damn slave. They got certain religious texts for the North American Negro slave. They got the black Christian codes. All these things for the religious person to subjugate you. So if that's the case, what version are you talking about? Because a group of people can say, well, no, that's not valid because this version says that you a slave. And then they say, well, Deuteronomy, the reason why we cursed. I ain't cursed. I thought we was chosen. So now you're confusing me. Were we chosen, babe? Or were we cursed? Shit, lost me. Because a God that loved me, he ain't finna trick me. He ain't finna use me for all this stuff to trick me, to throw all these false gods in to trick me. The false gods is for the ones that need to be tricked, not the ones that know, that understand. How can you be tricked by something when you know, when you have it? So when the falseness come, rhetoric come, you ain't finna fall for that. Let me tell you another science. Don't they say, they talk about the Sabbath. You know they love this. And the Sabbath, you don't do nothing to sit down and you don't do nothing. You don't even pick your toes. You don't even eat. I'm just being silly. But in the biblical scripture, didn't Jesus, Yahshua, wasn't he in the synagogue? Or whatever you want to call it, on the Sabbath? What was he doing? Reading? He wasn't reading no goddamn Word Up magazine. Wasn't reading no Vibe magazine. On the Sabbath, what was he doing? Reading what? The scriptures, going over the scriptures. You know this is true. When? On the Sabbath. So you see how a person have a book or a piece of literature and then say, and I can't relate to what I'm saying, and it's right there in the book that you have in your hand. Somebody got to be crazy. You see how everybody can come with concepts? A preacher will say, well, we don't need no more this and that, and all you need is preacher. A preacher ain't no more. We don't need none of this. Well, the Bible says prophets, seers, all that is for the uplifting of his kingdom. All of those. Now, how you gonna say something just because you feel like it? Because you don't have that gift. Because the Creator didn't give you that gift. The Creator gave you the gift of polyparroting. Or hacking. And that's polyparroting. That's hacking. Yeah. That's what that is. So it's all forms of rhetoric. But what's written, when you can break it down, hermeneutics, you can use their tools and say, man, stop the cap. Then when you deal with the language, you must be able to deal with the language. The language is important. The language is important. In the biblical scriptures, if it says praise his holy name, the name is important. You can't say that Old English is important because it wasn't no King James, it was Ames, I-A-M-E-S. I-A-M-E-S. So a lot of the stuff, when a person can give you something, and I say, well, the Bible says that's his qualifications to be a pastor, a rabbi, a sensei, a sheik, whatever you want to talk about. Jesus went through the mystery schools. What? Breaking down the wisdom. Wasn't disrespecting no one, but breaking it down and understanding. So if it's qualifications to be a prophet, to be an angel, to be a rabbi, to be a priest and a teacher, how you going to tell me who called you? I'll wait. Because if somebody called you, then everybody need the number. I need the number. We say, I was called in ministry. I had a dream one day. That sounds like some Aquarian Gospels. Elysius Levi stuff. Talk about he had a river at 3 a.m. Man, we know where all that come from. I do. You see what I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters? If we say we have something that's going to liberate us and help us, it can't be, how can I say it, arbitrary. It can't be arbitrary. It has to be universal. And when you sit down with people with these universal answers to small solutions in community of a people, then we talk about a higher level of wisdom. Now we're talking about tasawwuf. Now we're talking about peace. Because we can relay all these holy books when you're dealing with a true mapping guide that's going to teach you different crafts of what? Perfecting self. Going to show you the analogy, the parable, the symbology. Going to show you all different walks of life, of the wisdom. Going to show you the ancient language, what is written in yesterday and today and evermore. Then you can walk clearly. But not only that, as a group of people that's been subjugated, everybody that got a job, which we say we in a better situation than then, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice when we're arguing over religion, because we can out Muhammad. We can out Jesus, out Yahshua, out Yahweh, out Buddha, out Confucius, whatever deity that you may call it, out rock the rock. But if we are a people that have some of the same things that we can agree on, as what? Being a subjugated people. As what? When we talk about reparations. Do you believe in reparations? Yep. Well, I'm telling you, facts that should be agreed on. Negro, blacks, and color, and African Americans will never get reparations. Because according to science and law, black mean deaf. And all those words are synonymous to slavery. Now back on that subject at hand. The religion can't be the common denominator for us to have some things of ownership. Because the only way you're going to own something is to put paper behind it. I'm sorry. What these people call fiat. And then we'll take fiat for everything. What do we talk about? If a person asks for donations, that's fiat. You ain't giving no Bitcoin. I don't want no Bitcoin. People ain't giving no gold. I take gold. So when I talk about things, we have a misunderstanding of this tool, which is money. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19, if I'm not mistaken. What does it say? Wine is made for laughter, but money trumps all. Last time I checked, money is a tool. So when we understand this tool, when we understand that we are stewards of this tool, we can use these funds that I'm talking about, how other movies and how other things that movies depict, art depict movies, like I always give an analogy about The Sopranos, how everything went through the church, how I tell people this, how they had lawyer and client confidentiality. Misnomer black people don't have that with their preacher. The Negro gonna get subpoenaed. Why? Because the Negro have no rights in court. This is why I'm telling you, I'm black, I'm not nothing of that. I'm gonna say, when you say that to me, it's anti-Semitic. The same way the European, the Alvin and Trailer Dyke, use that when they don't want you saying something. And I done proved where that whole phrase come from. And it ain't even based off nothing. With all love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Just like when Nick Cannon had Professor Griff on there, and he was talking about that, and they say that was conspiracy, that wouldn't happen to me, because I come with the what? Encyclopedia. I come with their books. I come with all their books, showing you what they say they are, from love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You know? This is what I'm saying. So when I say this to my brothers and sisters, off top, man-made religion cannot be Al-Islam, Eurocentric, Negrocentric Christianity, Black Masonry, anything to those vernaculars of those religious sects, the Black Greeks. None of that can be it unless if we don't what? Solidarity, come as solidarity, come as one. It's no other way. If not, we're going to act like Crips and Bloods until we wipe each other out. Because we splinter groups. We don't even understand about conglomerates. We don't even get it. We should have one common denominator, and all these group of people live in one community. I talk about in the city of Flint, you got this. You got 15 million churches. They used to say it's a liquor store on every corner. Not no more. It's a damn church on every corner. Might be three. Might be three. Three on each side. It's like when you go to this street, I'm going to go to this church, I got to turn around and go to this church. And now they just sitting. See, comedians, they can mock preachers and stuff. They can goof. A comedian can get on stage and talk cash stuff about a preacher. And you'll be like, yep, that's how they are. But they can't do that with a teacher. They can't do that with a person that's sitting there telling you the truth. They can mock it, like on The Living Color, how they be mocking the Muslim, how the Wayne brother was in prison, and he was trying to use all those big words, and the psychology of the philosophy, of the psychology, of the diagram, of the semantics, of the toenail clipper equals a bucket. He like, what the hell are you saying? All nothing. So you can use those type of imagery. But a teacher that's teaching and helping and doing that real work, you can't image that. If you do that, you'll be like, well, why are you doing that? And that's someone that look like you doing the good. We're not going to make a mockery of something that's liberating us. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We should be way past that. You see what I'm saying? And so for the liberation of our people, when we have these conversations, which is never going to happen, because it's programmed for it not to happen. It's programmed for celebrities and all these figures that have been put in your face and say, what should we call ourselves? And what are we? Are we going to call ourselves this, that, and the other? Man, no, we're going to go based off the constitutional laws. We're going to go with things that's never been abolished. And we damn sure ain't Negro, Black, and Colored, and African Americans. I'm going to ask you the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, and we're going to start with that conversation. And now we're going to start talking about tax codes and tax exempt status and everybody working. And what I'm saying is valid. How? Are you willingly giving your money to Uncle Sam? Yes. Because you divert a percentage of your money you giving to Uncle Sam to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice and get a tax exempt receipt. And you can use those funds to build infrastructure. What type of infrastructure? Any freaking infrastructure you want. If y'all a religious community or principality, I showed y'all in the bylaws in the temple and our bylaws. This is living proof of what I'm saying can be done. How? Because everybody working and we know it. This is the thing when I say clearly we don't know the power we have. Why? Because when we don't know and we have the lack of, we are afraid to explain what we should know. If somebody asks you something, that don't mean they ask you that because they mad, or if they ask you that because you in a situation, you should be able to prove it. 1 Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things and hold fast to what is good. So if I'm telling you things and people asking things, when I do lectures, I love explaining things. And then I ask everyone, do they have questions? The thing in our community, like my Mufti Malik said, that's here on my Facebook page, is that we haven't been introduced to this. And when you see a clean glass like myself that's been through the Lion's Den and came out clean and have the same degree that the others have and wrote the literature and wrote the wisdom, you can see what can be done. How? Because if anyone got a job, you're willingly giving your money to a private banking system. You have the right to where? Give it to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice and get a tax exempt receipt. If you're able to claim exempt for 6 damn months, okay, so now think about it. How would you be able to claim exempt for 12 months? You have to have proofs. Why? I pay my taxes. How? To my religious and charitable contribution of your choice. Now, depending on the income you make, you might have to donate a higher percentage than 10% to offset what you're giving Uncle Sam. Because the thing of people using their money as tax exempt money is to give Uncle Sam less amount and use that other money to support their religious and charitable contribution of your choice. If you don't understand that, you don't understand how your tax dollars can save your community. You don't understand what I'm saying. You don't understand how I show my brothers and sisters that we are a religious community, and all my brothers that sit next to me, my Jacobites or my muftis, our ministers, and understanding that tax code and understanding that tax exempt status is so powerful that we missing that. And that's why a lot of these organizations are building their schools, building their temples, doing all this stuff, because they're using money that they're giving Uncle Sam willingly. And they're saying, wait a minute, the law said I can donate to my religious and charitable contribution of my choice. I want to see change in our community. I want us to have our own temple and school. I want to see our temple and school buying these parsonages with an S, parsonages with an S, for the people that's ministers in my community and the babies that's young ministers. They can have these as homes in our religious community. Things can be done, but we're giving our funds away willingly. And I'm just showing a tool, because finance is a tool. We have to stop letting people talk about, oh, money is messed up. I gave y'all Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19. Wine is made for laughter, but money trumps all. How the hell can money be the root to all evil? And money ain't no evil. Money can be done good. You don't curse a rich man and a poor man. They're both in that situation for a reason. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19 clearly states that wine is made for laughter, but money trumps all. What is that saying? You tell me, my brother and sister. That's why money is a tool. And even when I break it down biblically, in biblical finance, of how when I say a lot of things we shouldn't go in debt, when I break it down biblically, when I break it down Quranically, when a lot of things is just not biblical. Why? Because we don't understand it. But when I give keys as a person that has a business degree, not saying I'm better than you, but I've studied this craft. I've studied nonprofit startup. I know what religious communities can do. I know what we can do with our tax dollars. I know what we can do, which is legal and lawful. But slavery was legal, so we ain't even going to go there, but lawful. And if anybody asks you anything, it can be proven. How? Why? Because you get a tax receipt. You're not doing nothing wrong. It's just like when the so-called COVID came out, or excuse, oh, I should have said that. I mean cocoa. When the cocoa, when the cocoa came out, the pandemic came out. Everybody was like, "Ooh, my job say I gotta get the cocoa shot, right?" Well, see, when I tell you the religious laws trump everything, none of my brothers and sisters had to go abide to none of that. Because if you say why you don't have to, and you say, well, give me your religious exempt, we have that. We ain't saying, like they said, we're not against rap, we're not against rappers, but we are against those thugs. What I'm saying is we ain't for or we ain't against. But what I'm saying is we have the right to choose. You see? And when you have the right to choose, you have the right to explain it just like that. From wisdom. You see what I'm saying? Just like that. So when we're not sure of who we are as a collective, when we're not sure what we can do, that's a form of timidness. That's a form of fear. Why? Because I'm explaining everything that we can do as a religious community, as a body of people that say, wait a minute, I've learned something. I see the body of work. I see the potential we can do. Everything we say, a lot of people will agree with me like this. I can get 50 men in a room and say, is there any libraries in our community that have all the books we can study and computer lab? Nope. Do you think we need one? Yep. Okay. So just off that, we can provide that. Man, how? We ain't got enough money, man. We got to apply for some grant. We got to apply for some loans and pay it back? No. How many of is it? It's 300 of us right now. Y'all all got a job? Yep. Okay, so I'm telling y'all right now to start off, all y'all can give $100 a month. And at the end of the year, we'll have $300,000. We'll buy one of these buildings that's abandoned, one of these big stupid churches with a parsonage and all that. And we'll turn this to our temple and school and to a functioning community center. And to a functioning educational house. And to a functioning skill center. And to a functioning library. And to a functioning mentor house. And to a functioning martial arts gym. All those things that we can do how? With our tax dollars. We go to a community where our brothers and sisters are leaving, going to get in debt, going in mortgages, getting houses that's $400,000, but at the end you're gonna pay three times as much, even at a 10% interest rate. I showed this stuff. This is how things done. I did with solutions. That's the power. We need this. Oh, so who you think gonna do it? The lottery ain't gonna do it. Negroes been playing the lottery, and they say the lottery is for schools. It ain't finna be for no black schools. Because Negroes only get welfare and public education. And what? Cheap lunch. Negroes don't even own nothing. If we say we own everything, we don't even own the food that our kids eating. You have no choice when your kids on that school lunch. They got to eat what they giving them. That stuff ain't good. So when we control everything, we don't even got our lunch program. We can. How? With the money we giving Uncle Sam, we can have all this stuff. We don't need no FBI, which is the faith-based initiative, federal mandated programs to tell us how to raise our babies. Not when they under our religious rights, because under our religious rights, we have the right to do these things. What I'm saying, we have the religious right to do everything that Sheikh Khari Goodman Bey is telling you out of his mouth. If not, how did I get my dual master's degree? And my dissertation was exactly what I'm saying. My oral dissertation was exactly what I'm saying. When I did a blueprint, when I talked about tax exempt status, when I compare and contrast. Then another one of my dissertation was I proved that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization, proved by the Bible alone. Not from no disrespectful perspective, but from history and facts. In academia, if I wasn't a lover of the arts here in the States, I couldn't get a degree in Christian studies. I got my degree in Islamic studies. You know, I got my degree in history, but then I also said, let me get a degree in this form of studies. I was able to go to the libraries. I was able to go in the doctoral libraries. I was able to be part of the Philosophical Research Society. And when I became a member of the Philosophical Research Society and had elders that was 3 times chair in academia at Harvard, Oxford, and showed me different libraries and things and introduced me to certain wisdom, I said, man, I'm very thankful. And now I come back to show my people the blueprint of how people can not only take wisdom, understand wisdom, agree from the science that we hold in our hand, and now move to the next perspective of liberation. Is what? Putting some paper behind your movement. Where? In your community. Because the Great Migration is taking over your community that you may have left. It's the Great Migration is people coming together over one thought, over one process. That's the Great Migration. The Great Migration is using your finances that you giving Uncle Sam right now and don't even have to complain about nothing what's going on. Why? Because you are controlling it and you're seeing it. You're actually seeing your dollars instead of you say, well, my tax dollars are going to do this. How you know? Or say, I donated to this organization. Okay, but do you see your work? What I'm telling my brothers and sisters, you can see the work. What we're demonstrating here. We can do a good. That's all I have for my people at this stage. Because us arguing over religion, it's not going to get it. We have to have a common denominator. And the common denominator is knowledge. Knowledge of self and knowledge of finances. That's it. It's nothing else. It's nothing else. Knowledge of self and knowledge of finances. And in the perspective and in the science of finances is understanding this tax exempt status, understanding that we're a religious and a community, and understanding that we can use those tax dollars to build our community. And everything that we say and we want, we can have. That's what I'm saying. In the moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Just like that. Just like that, brothers and sisters. So I thank y'all for listening to me. I thank y'all for taking time out y'all day as I broke just some that to me. It broke down a little questions for my religious brothers and sisters, as I always give wisdom and spiritualness. But for me, the common denominator is who we are. That can be done simple. But once again, the misnomer black man has to agree. The misnomer black man can't do that at this stage. Another thing, if we can't agree on those things, then how are we going to be a nation? Because the nation has to agree to certain customs. And the customs is not about no money or no type of money. The culture and the nation have to do with certain customs and certain beliefs. All that has to be in line. It has to be a common denominator or have to be a common understanding. And that comes from knowledge and that comes from wisdom of self. I'm telling you, and once we get there, we understand our finances and we can say, wait a minute, we can do this. And let's hold this brother and this entity accountable because I love that. And it can happen because I can't do nothing and I don't want to do nothing without my people. I don't want to get no finances through no government. And like people have been showing me like, well, Sheik, you can just apply for this loan, for this certain stuff, this faith-based initiative, and you will get it. I said, why do I want to go through all that? And me and my mom were just talking about that. And then when I talk about things, she said, when you do that, son, you're going to have to teach this type of way or do this type of way, or you're not going to get it. And if you don't, you're going to violate that. And that's what I tell people. Or you can get this grant loan, yeah, but it's contingent on certain things. Why would I want to get some money from the faith-based initiative and then have to have government mandate teachings? And I'm telling you, in order to get that, it'd be contingent on me signing that contract or taking that oath. I'm just not in a position to do that yet. Maybe when I'm on my knuckles all the way, you know what I mean? When I'm on my knuckles all the way, when I show y'all like, man, look at my knuckles, they messed up, I got to do this, maybe then. But I don't feel that I have to do that. I feel that y'all love me enough and I love y'all enough and I'm giving enough wisdom that we can do things with small donations and show the world that we ain't trying to prove nobody wrong. We're showing the world that we can prove people right. How? With the right science, with the right knowledge, and understanding our finances, and get behind a mission that can be held accountable for what we're doing. We can have a nation in a nation. And that's what your brother is telling you. That's what your brother is telling you, and that's liberation, and that's freedom. No nation can build without some finances. And I'm telling you, what you mean? We got to go get a loan. We got to come with some more money. We got to go in our savings. I'm saying no, no, and no. I say, are you working? Yep. Are you giving money to Uncle Sam? Are you paying taxes? You let Uncle Sam take a percentage out your check. I'm telling you, you can donate to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. And once we get enough brothers and sisters on that level, family and friends, it's over. And once it comes continuously like that, continuously, monthly, it's over. Everybody get a tax exempt receipt at the end of the year to get a tax prepared. If you're working in the ministry or doing things, you a minister too. If you're working in the church doing certain things, that's called in-kind service. You never knew about these things. All this stuff, this religious community works for the people. Everything goes for the people. What? Everything. It all benefits the people. And everything that I do, everything I talk about benefits the people. It can't be for the people and it only benefit the pastor. Then it's not people-oriented. That's dictator-oriented. And that's king-oriented. It's not people-oriented. It's not theocracy. It's not the higher, the God essence that's over this thing. That's what I'm telling us. This is the cover. This is the quiver. The analogy in the Bible when you say you protect it in that quiver, and I give the analogy of a kangaroo baby in his mama pouch. In this quiver, you are protected with wisdom because I'm showing you something that's happening, that the only people is reaping the benefits is that individual and that family. Everything is in their name, and everything is nonprofit. Everything is tax exempt. It's like free money. It's like a windfall. And you think we don't have no money in our community, and you see these people on blind faith giving all this money to the preacher, which is tax exempt from the federal government, that's religious and charitable and scientific, and you telling me it's nothing in the community, and you happy when you see your pastor riding through the Bentley and them potholes in the city, the streets, and wearing that chinchilla in the winter, and you say, "Woo, look at my pastor. Woo!" While you going to McDonald's. He getting ready to go to Ruth's Chris. Here in the community. I'm just saying, man. And you said we don't have no money. And you saying the misnomer black community don't have no money. You got to be crazy, man. The money is being sucked up. It's tax exempt. It's tax exempt, so that's what? Tax-free money. So man, I even seen a preacher on the internet when he was going through a deposition with the attorneys, with the prosecutor, and he was just spending money. They were like, "Why do you gotta have $10,000 suits?" He like, "Cause I sweat a lot." And he saying this garment helps me stay dry. $10,000 suits. Then he took two Benzes, and cut them and made them limos. Oh, he got money to burn. He got money to burn. Then he said the 5 million houses when preachers and stuff come. He said he lived in an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment. Stop the cap. This is what I'm saying. I'm here. We can do this for the people. That's why I'm saying we do have money. The church is wealthy. The church is an organization. What type of organization? A non-profit organization. What type of business they doing? They're in the laws business, they say, but it's a non-profit organization. So if it's a non-profit organization that's tax exempt for the federal government, religious, charitable, educational-wise, donation-wise, then what's that telling you? then that means all the money is coming in. Where? To that entity. So if that's the case, why we can't do that on this mission and say, you know what, we are going to be stakeholders of the BBT. And we finna see what this brother going to do. The brother already got a library. Now he finna have all the machines in there. Now they print out, now they got a real library and they showing the kids how to do it. Oh, they make clothes, they got all this, now they got it in there. They're going to show the kids how to do it. Oh, they got their own graphic design team. Now my Mufti, Alonzo going to be teaching that. Oh, they want to learn real estate, we're going to teach that. They want to learn health and wealth, we got a herbalist. We got all of y'all want to work out, we have all this stuff in-house. And how can we have this? With our tax dollars. I'm out of here, man. I love y'all. Thank y'all for listening to your brother. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube channel at the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. And if you like anything that I said, thank you. Like I said, I don't mind giving my number out because I'm trying to build the community of righteousness and show in the midst of all these things that happened to us, all these people that came here going to open these schools and doing all this and got these millions of dollars. We ain't been tricked by them people. I'm telling you what, we going on, we can do something right. And what I'm saying can happen. And it can be done the right way. So once again, my email is Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. My office or my business number is 602-473-8767. If you're looking for a fez, a turban, a kufi, Moorish American regalia like tunics, cotton, or silk, kunthers you may call them, we have those at MoorishHaberdasher.com. We made our own especial clothing, our Noble shirts, our Morsachi, our Icons brand, and we have much, much more on there. We also have our book company called BindItBooks.com, where we print and bind expensive and rare books only. We print and bind expensive and rare books only. And MyPDFBooks.com, that's books with the Z, where you can download books on your tablet or your phone, and you can travel with them. Or you can go to Alpha Smacks and Staples, and they print and bind for you. And I offer them books for a small fraction of the price that Amazon will sell you the paper books for. You should want the wisdom. That should matter to you. The wisdom, not paying a whole bunch for some paper. So once again, you can check us out on those platforms. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube channel at Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. And if you need kufis, fez, or anything, or any books that might not be on our platforms, all you got to do is hit me up. And if you know me and you connect to me, I give you package deals and books. All you got to do is hit me up. I give you package deals. Why? Because you're dealing with the source. I love y'all. Have a good night. Peace.